Welcome to the Top Business Leaders Show, powered by Rise 25 Media. We feature top founders, executives, and business leaders from all over the world.
All right, welcome everyone. John Corcoran here. I am one of the hosts of this show, and every week we have smart CEOs, founders, and entrepreneurs from all kinds of companies. We've had Netflix, Grubhub, Redfin, Gusto, Kinko's, lots of great episodes if you check out the archives. And of course, this episode is brought to you by Rise 25, where we help the businesses to give to and connect to their dream relationships and partnerships. We do that by helping companies to run their podcasts. We have the easy button for any company to launch and run a podcast. So if you want to learn more, go to rise25.com, and you can also email our team at support@rise25.com. All right, my guest today is Paul Feith. He's the founder and president of Gregory Media. It's a digital marketing agency that specializes in serving nonprofits and mission-driven organizations. And he started his career in technology and digital strategy before founding Gregory Media in 2006. Over the years, he's built a values-driven agency that focuses on helping organizations to tell their stories, increase visibility, and create measurable impact. In fact, he also had the company become certified as a Certified B Corp, which is we'll get into it, but a legal structure that allows companies to really focus on doing some greater work for the greater good. He's deeply involved in the nonprofit community, serves on boards and supporting organizations that make a difference. And so he's really passionate about this topic. So Paul, really excited to talk to you about all these topics here. So let's start with marketing for nonprofits. I understand that this was a pivot that you made. Didn't start there, and then you actually had served as on a board of a nonprofit and really enjoyed the experience and decided I'm going to focus the agency on that. So tell us how you first got involved in doing marketing for nonprofits.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, John. We, you make it sound like we do a lot. So thank you for that introduction. We got into marketing in 2006, so we're actually celebrating 20 years this coming month. And it wasn't until 2011 I joined my first board of directors with the Chamber of Commerce. And then soon after, a couple of Habitat for Humanity was the next one in line, and a few others. And I started learning the challenges and the pitfalls and the traps and the successes and the best practices. I fell in love with governance. And I thought, if I feel this good just volunteering for these organizations on their board, what if I built a marketing agency? Because all of them need marketing help. What if I built the marketing agency around that specific niche and help the ones that are struggling most to do the good work in our community that we live and work and play in? So that was really the catalyst for me.
Now, why is it important for a nonprofit to work with an agency that specifically specializes in working with nonprofits? If I'm on the board of a nonprofit, I'm thinking, we could just hire any marketing agency. What's the difference that it makes?
I used to make that same argument for other industries that we worked in, like, you hired a medical or a healthcare marketing agency. We could have done better on that logo or whatever. So I used to make that argument. And it's a hard one to counteract, because there are really good marketing agencies out there that do really good work. Of course there are. We have been involved now it's since 2011. So it's been a while. Excuse my dog if you hear the barking in the background. Between governance and understanding the role of, how do you corral volunteers? How do you increase funding? Two of the biggest challenges of a nonprofit. What are some of the things that other nonprofits are doing that are working? What are some of the things that are not working? In this day and age, federal funding has become a huge topic. And how do you diversify those funding dollars, those revenue streams, and not really rely on just federal or county level or state level funding? So learning what other nonprofits do and are doing, and what those advantages are, learning the tech stack, what donation platforms work well, which is good for enterprise level CRM donor platforms versus something that's small, because you're not going to take advantage of all those features. We can put that experience together and put a pretty good marketing strategy. I say pretty good. It's really the best marketing strategy for that particular nonprofit.
Let's talk about branding and identity for nonprofits. How important is it? And also for a nonprofit that has not done a great job of, really establishing good branding practices and their visual identity, What's the process you take them through to help them with that?
I think the way to couch brand identity and messaging is whatever marketing you're doing comes back to the website. Your website is the largest digital real estate that you own. Everything leads back to that. But before that, even, your website is talking in the tone and voice of your brand and your message. And what I often find with nonprofits is sometimes it's not very consistent what the board says about the brand, what the executive team says about the brand. And they have multiple constituents like volunteers and like city council and their beneficiaries and their donors. And how do you speak to them using consistent messaging across all five of those different channels? So messaging and that brand identity is paramount. I would even say it's even more important than the website because a lot of optics are involved as well. So between that and the website, I think those are the two largest pieces. And you know what? Used to say, not me, but others used to say, branding is fluff and it's not tangible, but it so is tangible. I have lots of examples of how branding can outperform the S&P index, just the branding alone. I mean, look at Starbucks. You take away all the brick and mortar buildings, it's still a multi-billion dollar company.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be.
Yeah.
The owner of Quaker Oats once said, take away my farms and my land and my buildings and my manufacturing plants and my factories. I'll keep the brand.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Let's talk about web design and development in particular for nonprofits, because a website similar to the brand kind of needs to serve different constituents. It can serve as a place for people to make donations, could be beneficiaries. The web, other constituents go to the website to learn about it. So talk about some of the unique considerations around web design and development for nonprofit websites.
Well, you're absolutely right. A website has to serve multiple constituents, and whether it's a new donor coming to the page or an existing donor checking up on past donation history or looking for IRS tax receipts versus new members learning about what you're doing in the community to maybe volunteer one day. There's several different constituents, city council members. It's important to have a website that speaks to all of them and have an easy navigation that can figure out the easiest path to those pages or that content. A lot of times what we do is we tie it into other software so that we can see who's coming to the website based on actions they took previous to that. For example, they may be clicking on something they saw on social media. And if it's something donor related, they would take them immediately to a donor page because we kind of know what they're interested in. Same with emails. We can say, okay, over the last 6 months, they've been mostly interested in these types of events from this particular nonprofit. And we'll take them to a page that lists all those events and how they can participate. So it's important to integrate a lot of different moving parts in that digital world. And that's the great thing about digital media and digital marketing is all that information. We have all that data. And nonprofits don't have a lot of times the bandwidth to parse all that out.
Yeah. And speaking of limited bandwidth, social media is another one that can be so time consuming especially for nonprofits that don't have the bandwidth for it. What are some of your best strategies around that as social media has become such an important channel?
Well, you know why it's so darn time consuming is because it takes so many different skill levels. You got to be a good graphic designer or being able to put pictures together. You got to have to be good ability to write copy or be a copywriter. You have to know how to strategize. What's the month-long plan? What's the year-long plan? So yeah, it is time consuming. It's one of the core services that we do because it requires strategy behind the post. It requires a look at the history and see what's performing better than others and why. For example, you could have a great performing video or a poor performing video. And was it because it was posted on the day of the week where there wasn't a lot of activity on that channel, or was it because of the video itself? With a combination of AI tools and state-of-the-art social media strategy tools like Sprout Social is one of the ones we use, we can tell exactly why a post is performing the way it is, good or bad, what we can learn from it, and how that affects our strategy going forward. Again, it's data-driven, which just does so much better in terms of taking advantage of all the tools that we have to do a better job at the KPIs or the key performance indicators. We know how to grow an audience. We know if there's not a big audience to start with, how to grow that. We know how to engage an audience, which is sometimes more important. But engagement can't be just the only thing because you don't want to keep preaching to the same choir. So really those two KPIs, growing an audience and engaging that audience, are the two biggest KPIs that we do. Because of that, we don't have long-term commitments. We earn our keep every month because we want to learn from everything that we happened the previous month and the previous quarter and apply it to the next month. And it's such a joy to take those aha moments, share them with the client, and that client's whatever resource they had doing social media, and if it was 5 hours a week or 10 hours a week, is now down to 10 minutes looking at and sharing in those aha moments with us. It's really a more joyful experience for them.
Speaking of ahas, so there is this Google Ad Grant Management Program, or you do management, but there's a Google Ad Grants program. Google provides money for nonprofits to run ads. And a nonprofit that I'm involved in didn't even know about this until recently. And I think a lot of nonprofits are that way. They don't realize that there's this great opportunity. So explain what it is and how nonprofits can take advantage of it.
Right. So one of the many things that I hear from nonprofit executives is they wish they had more money for marketing and more resources. And here's a company, a big company at that, Google, that's offering $10,000 every month. So it's $10,000 to any legit 501c3 or 501c7, and there's some others in there too. A renewable $10,000 every month, and you only have to, apply once. And then you have that money, that bucket of money to use towards Google Ads for your events, for your services, for anything that your company does to get the word out there. Now you're in that sponsored section, just like any other paying organization. And because it's free and it's from a grant, you're not weighted as high, but you're in there. You're playing the game with the big boys, and you get $10,000 of that money to spend every month. And we try our best to spend the entire amount.
Wow. I want to ask you also about mission-based storytelling, because this is a big part of what you do. Talk a little bit about how nonprofits can tell their story in a compelling way that talks about the mission, what they're really passionate about.
Yeah, without giving away too much of the secret sauce, the best advice I can give is tell a story of one person, one beneficiary, one life saved, one family made whole again. When you focus on something that people can relate to, on that one family or that one person, it becomes such a much more powerful story than saying, we help the homeless, or we feed starving people, or whatever that may be, which is all great. But when you focus on the story on the one person that you've helped, and you don't have to reveal identities, we could talk, and a lot of our clients don't. What a powerful storytelling mechanism that is. And then you can flip and dissect that story in many different ways. Video is probably the most compelling channel to use. But you'd also want to tell that story on social media via graphic, and you want to tell that story on your website too. So pick one or two compelling ones that you can give examples of.
Yeah. And do you find that a lot of nonprofits struggle with that, with figuring out what story to tell or capturing it in the first place, or they don't want to toot their own horn?
Well, it's funny you say that, because I always get, we're the best kept secret. Right? It's the first thing we hear at every engagement. We're the best kept secret. But no, most nonprofits know who they've helped the most and where their biggest successes are. I think they've got that down. It's then what to do with that. And then who's got the time, who's got the resources, where do we figure out how to get that? That's where partnering with a marketing agency could really take that weight off of you and make it all happen, because marketing agencies not just do the strategy and say, okay, we've got this, but they do the production as well. And then they do the deliverable.
Yeah. Paul, this has been great. Where can people go to learn more about you and connect with you and Paul Gregory Media?
You can go to just paulgregorymedia.com, plain and simple, and has everything that you need in terms of answering questions. And we've got a live, real person chat agent standing by to answer questions as well.
Amazing. All right, Paul, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Top Business Leaders Show. powered by Rise 25. Visit rise25.com to check out more episodes of the show and to learn more about how you can start your own podcast.